I think what we're doing and executing on a day-by-day basis is in fact taking over SWIFT, in that we've now signed up well over 100 banks. Some of the largest SWIFT-enabled banks in the world are now using Ripple's technology. Just last week we saw a remittance company who's using Ripple's technology. They reduced the price per transaction to their consumers from $20 per transaction to $2 per transaction, and they saw an 800% increase in usage overnight. That's the type of dynamic that SWIFT isn't able to support that we're able to address right now. And one of the former board members of SWIFT, a gentleman, Marcus Treacher, joined our team to run all of customer success. And, this was, a former board member from SWIFT coming over and saying, hey, we don't think SWIFT's going to be necessarily a solution to really unlocking this internet of value. These are, marks along the journey.
Ripple XRP is going to replace SWIFT, and Quant QNT is connecting SWIFT to a bunch of different networks all over the world right now. Yes, I'm going to show you this chart right here of the Quant Overledger technology helping SWIFT and integrating SWIFT to other financial systems. And Stellar XLM is also gonna be at this exclusive event with SWIFT. As you can tell right here, Stellar right next to SWIFT at the Digital Money Summit in 2025. Next month in London in May, right? This event right here, the Digital Money Summit 2025, is huge for Stellar, XLM, and SWIFT. Why? Because there will be huge people from all over the world, from the Bank of France, Bank of Brazil, Bank of England, Deutsche Bank, Bank of Ghana, JP Morgan. Huge banks all over the world will be here, including Stellar, XLM, and SWIFT. Literally, both side by side. And also what's interesting is that Franklin Templeton, which is tokenizing hundreds of millions of dollars worth of assets on Stellar, is going to be there as well. And Franklin Templeton has said how they want to tokenize their $1.5 trillion on Stellar. So a lot of money is going to flow into Stellar. But anyways, Stellar and SWIFT are right here side by side. And also MTech. MTech is building CBDCs using Hedera HBAR. MTech will also be at this event right here next to SWIFT. So HBAR also has connections with SWIFT, but we didn't really speak about that in today's video. And there are a lot of connections between Hedera, HBAR, and SWIFT. But right now we're speaking about Stellar and SWIFT. So this is huge right here. The fact that they're side by side, they're going to be at this event next to each other. And right now on the official Stellar website, they are now officially using SWIFT. Yes, you can send money all over the world using Stellar. And as you can tell right here, there are a bunch of different payment rails you can choose. Now, what's very interesting is that SWIFT is an option for you to choose right now on the Stellar network. SWIFT right here directly using XLM. So the fact that you can send money with SWIFT on Stellar is huge, everyone. This is absolutely huge. Yes, SWIFT is using Quant QNT, XRP, and XLM. Because also right here on the official SWIFT website, they mentioned Wells Fargo, how Wells Fargo is looking at this area using Ripple. They literally mentioned Ripple XRP on the SWIFT website, how Wells Fargo is using Ripple to send money all over the world. This is huge, everyone. And not only that, but they also say, and lots of other banks are also looking at using Ripple. That's literally what they say. And lots of other banks arguing that the Ripple blockchain, the XRP ledger, is being used by banks all over the world, officially confirmed on the SWIFT website. Everyone. This is huge. And right now, I'm going to play you this video of Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse speaking about SWIFT and XRP competing against each other, and XRP is going to replace SWIFT. Listen to this.
SWIFT has been around for 50, 60 years. And the frustrating part for all of us as users of SWIFT is it really hasn't changed in 50 or 60 years. The architecture, how it works, it means it's slow, it's expensive, and frankly, it's quite error prone. Some studies have shown that about 6% of all SWIFT attempts to wire a SWIFT transaction end up in errors that bounce back, and then it takes days to get it back.
What about yields?
Well, an XRP transaction and a payment flow for us is really real time. It's instant, it's cross-border, and the really powerful thing for a lot of our customers is they don't have to pre-fund accounts, because our customers are financial institutions. And the way the SWIFT works, you're pre-funding your dormant capital sitting in other banks around the world. Using XRP, using RippleNet, our payments network, you don't have to pre-fund.
Swift is old, Swift is expensive, it's outdated, and Ripple XRP is gonna replace Swift. And over 6% of all transactions on Swift fails. So imagine over 6% of your text messages that you send, or your phone calls, or your emails, or your financial transactions, or the money that you send. Imagine 6% of those fail. That is crazy. So Ripple XRP solves all of those issues and is much better than Swift, and Swift is now about to adopt ISO 2022. And this is important because the deadline to implement ISO 2022 for banking and financial transactions is this year, November 22nd, 2025. So ISO 2022 is going to be used by Swift. And this is interesting because when we take a look at the ISO 2022 group members, so this is basically the board of directors or the group members of ISO, right? When we take a look at them, we will see that Ripple is here. Literally, RippleNet is a group member of ISO 2022, and Ripple XRP is the only cryptocurrency on this list. They're next to big institutions like the European Central Bank. Ripple right here again, RippleNet, and then guess who? Swift. Yes, literally Swift right here, as you can tell. Swift is part of this board, this group member list with Ripple XRP. So now I'm going to play this other video about Garlinghouse speaking about Swift, how XRP is going to replace it. Listen to this.
The market opportunity here is massive. You have trillions of dollars flowing cross-border globally. It's still largely dominated by the SWIFT network, if you will. And that's architecture, that's a technology architecture that's developed 50 years ago. There's an opportunity to modernize. That takes time, particularly when you have a government in the US kind of combating that innovation. But that's changing now. The Trump effect, if you will, is profound. You're seeing that in asset prices, but you're also going to see that in the adoption of these technologies.
Big changes are coming, and XRP is going to be adopted. That's literally what he said. The adoption of these technologies like Ripple XRP is going to go mainstream now and is going to explode through the roof because of the Trump effect. Massive regulatory uncertainty is going to be lifted now, and the regulatory clarity is going to pave the way for massive institutional adoption for cryptocurrencies like XRP. Everyone confirmed by Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, and Ripple CTO David Schwartz has said how my dream scenario is that Swift makes a deal with Ripple. Yes, both of them, where all their banks get to use RippleNet for free. Now, maybe even paying Swift, but this fits our XRP strategy perfectly. So Ripple CTO wants them to work together. Instead of XRP replacing Swift and completely getting rid of Swift, he's saying that Swift should adopt XRP so that way Swift does not get completely replaced. And Brad Garlinghouse has also confirmed how Swift and XRP Ripple can work together as well. Yes, there could be a partnership between the two of them. Listen to this.
So you said before that you think there's a world where Ripple could take over Swift.
Well, I've also said I thought there was ways we could work with Swift.
Let's talk about that.
This clip is actually really interesting because Brad Garlinghouse was on stage with the CEO of Swift. Yes, this guy right here used to be the CEO of Swift, literally, and he's on stage with him saying how XRP can replace Swift, but let's just talk about them working together. Because she asked him, she was like, oh, you spoke about how XRP can replace Swift. But then he's like, actually, yeah, that's true. But I've also spoken about how we can work together. So the fact that he's literally said that on stage in front of him is huge. It's like a boss alpha move. It's like, I'm here, RippleNet is here to stay, XRP is here to stay, and can replace you. If you do not work with us, we will replace you. That's basically the alpha boss move that Brad just pulled off on stage right here in this video. Now, speaking about Swift's CEO, this guy right here, the same guy that I just showed you, this guy, he mentioned XRP and Ripple before. He's spoken about Ripple and XRP, and he said, I think that the big part of Ripple's value proposition is the cryptocurrency XRP. There, we do find the banks are hesitant to convert things into a cryptocurrency right now because of the volatility in cryptocurrencies and because of the legal status of XRP. Back when the SEC was in a lawsuit with XRP, there was a lot of regulatory uncertainty. So risk-averse financial institutions are unlikely to adopt cryptocurrencies like XRP until regulations become more clear. And regulations are becoming more clear every single day. So that means that more and more financial institutions now are going to adopt cryptocurrencies like XRP, according to Swift's CEO. Everyone, XRP is playing a huge role in RippleNet and Ripple's technology, and XRP is also being used in Swift right now, confirmed by this source code right here, this code for R3 Corda's financial system using XRP and Swift both together in the same financial system right here, literally XRP payments and XRP settlements with the Swift service and the Swift payment status type right here. This code right here is Swift types and Swift payments with Ripple XRP. Ripple XRP. And also Swift is going to start live trials of digital asset transactions this year in 2025. They literally, on their official website, they say how they're going to work with digital assets now this year, like cryptocurrencies, like XRP, HBAR, XLM, QNT, those types of cryptocurrencies. That's exactly what they mean when they say digital assets. And Swift has also set up the industry for seamless introduction of CBDCs for cross-border transactions as interlinking interoperability solutions find more use cases. So here they speak about interoperability, interlinking, and CBDCs. And this is important for Quant QNT because we know that Quant QNT can connect Swift, right here, as you can tell, Swift to a bunch of different banking institutions, financial institutions, payment infrastructures all over the world, and Quant can do that easily. So interoperability is huge for CBDCs, and here's another report of Swift speaking about interoperability in global trade, how it is vital, it is necessary, and interoperability is a key feature of the future financial system. And also, what's really interesting is that Swift, right here, as you can tell, is going to be at this event, at this huge event with other financial companies like Bank of America, Citibank, we have Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan, but also the only cryptocurrency that's going to be here with Swift is, you guessed it, Quant QNT. Literally, everyone, as you can tell, Quant QNT on the screen right here is the only crypto in the world that's going to be at this event, at this EBA day, with MasterCard, also Visa. We have Microsoft and Swift. Swift is planning to launch a CBDC digital currency platform in the next 12 to 24 months. And they are definitely going to use cryptocurrencies like Quant QNT, Ripple XRP, and XLM.